What's up, and welcome to episode 279 of First Geek for 11. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and joining me this week from West Coast, Best Coast is Emma. How are you doing?
I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am upright. I am functional.
Woo!
I had mac and cheese with peas for dinner, which says a
Nice.
lot about the last week and a half of my life.
Yeah. Uh, we will, of course, be talking more specifics about that as we get into the episode for tonight. Um, Also, do want to say happy 2025 for everyone. We took an end of the year break, and now we are back. And so happy to be back doing this. We do still have plans to do a 2024 top five. Once we can get Sheen here as well, and kind of do a look back at our favorite things from this past year. With the break, that just kind of didn't work out, and so we'll figure out another time to do that, or find a time where Em and I can do it as a topic, and we can have Sheen write in and let us know what her favorite things are. And so stay tuned
Yeah.
for news on that. You can find that over on our social medias. We can find us as One Geek 411. Check this out in our Discord server. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Watch live on Twitch and YouTube Monday nights around 6:45 Mountain Time. And find the videos over on our YouTube for all those VODs. If you're watching on Twitch, of course, you can follow, subscribe, all of those things. Leave a comment with how your 2025 has been so far. And if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, please like, comment, subscribe, all of those things to boost that algorithm. With all that said, let's jump into our what we have been up to, kind of catch up, and then we'll jump into our news topics for this week, such as talking about the LA wildfires, Michael Sheen, the D.I.C.E Awards, and the Nintendo Switch 2. So,
Yeah.
Emma, what have you been up to these past couple weeks where we have been off?
So many things. I spent 2.5 weeks with family. Specifically, I got to hang out with my nephew, who's gonna be 2 next month. That was the greatest thing ever. He calls me Amma right now, and it's adorable because he can't fully get Emma properly pronounced, so he says Amma instead. And he has the same word for grandma and bananas, which is Nana, and it's very cute.
I mean,
And he loves his trains, and he loves his dinosaurs, and he loves everything about life. And he's very cute. And I love him, and he's so precious, and he's the greatest. And I could talk about him forever, but I'm not going to, because I also did other things. I watched all of Arcane and Squid Games 2, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And I'm obsessed specifically with Arcane. It's so pretty, and I want more, and I can't wait for more to come out, even though it's not the Arcane show specifically. Um, the art style is great. I could gush about it forever and ever. Um, I don't know if I talked
Arcane is
about
on
this.
my list. Oh, sorry.
It's great. You would like it.
Yeah, I love League of Legends. Like, I mean, I haven't played in years at this point, but like, I love the characters, and I've always meant to get to Arcane and just never have. But we currently have Netflix, so I need to actually like go and watch it while we still have a subscription. So
I
just so
highly
that way.
recommend it. It is so beautiful and so gut wrenching and so worth the time. I think you would really like it. Um, Other things I've done, I don't know if I mentioned this before we went on holiday break or whatever, but I got myself an iPad for drawing, and I've been
Nice.
drawing, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing like entirely artsy things on it, and it's so great, and it's so fun, and teaching myself how to draw. Always invest in your hobbies and interests,
Mm-hmm.
Kim. I always encourage that. Um, I ran D&D for my family. I ran D&D for the first time ever, and I ran it for my family. who had never played it before, aside from my brother-in-law who played like 3.5 years and years and years ago. And they had a blast. It was very much a pared down version of D&D because you kind of have to pare it down for new timers who have no frame of reference for anything. So I got questions thrown at me before we were even starting that would technically have been in-game questions. Like, I had to tell my mom at one point when we were getting ready to play, she was asking me a question, and it was literally a you have to ask the mayor that in game because that is literally a question that you would ask in game that you don't have the information for yet. And it was just so fun to see them all get so excited. And they had a blast. Awesome. And it was great. And we did like a one-shot / a storyline that would have taken place over like 2 4-hour sessions, but we ended up doing like 1.5-hour long sessions each night and only got through the first half of the storyline because it was just a lot of, them like not really knowing what to do. There was some like player versus player at one point. Typical chaos, but it was a lot of fun. And they enjoyed it. So it was a good time. And also, if my proof of life is not enough here, I am not on fire. Yes, I do exist in LA, which is currently on fire. We'll talk a little bit about that more later in specifics of things. But things are calming down, which is good. So I cannot complain. And that is what has been happening. Home and safe. And things are still wild around the Palisades and the Eaton fire. But they're starting to get those under control, which is good.
For me, with the end of the year, I went and did my yearly recap streams. I take a look at all the video games that I played this year over on Backlog, and I did a ranking of all of those games to kind of get my game of the year. Spoiler, it was Astrobot.
Shocker.
And then also, for the first time ever, I have read enough books that I did a book tier list of the 57 books that I read in 2024. And so that was really fun as well to kind of go through and take a look back at all of those. I have already started, I've upped my goal for 2025 to read 60 since I beat my goal. Maybe was it 54 books? Regardless, over 50 books last year. 50 was my goal. I've upped my goal for this year to 60. I've already completed 4 books so far in 2025, and we're 2 weeks in. And I'm currently reading 2 more. I'm going to start a third one tomorrow, like a third audio book, because the other 2 are physical, or one's physical, one's an ebook. And so making good progress on all of that. And I literally today finished Remarkably Bright Creatures, which is about an octopus that lives in an at an aquarium, and then
I've read this.
Oh, you read this?
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous book.
Yeah. And then it's about the cleaning lady and all of these disparate characters, and it's very fun, very cute. And so, literally finished that earlier today. And so as my, of the 4 books that I've completed, that's my second novel. And then I've had a graphic novel or a manga and then a comic book. And so we're getting a nice big variety of all of those things. And so I'm very excited for that goal. I am also part of a book club and over for the Mad Birds Discord. And nice. We're doing a book club through 2025 where every month has 2 different themes. And then based on the theme, you pick a book that fits one of them. And then we're going to all get together and talk about the various books that we've read. And so It's going to be really interesting because unlike our book club here, that we'll talk about our January book later at the end of the podcast, unlike our book club here where everyone has read the same book and we're talking about it, theoretically for that one, no one could read the same book.
Yep.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. For me, we're doing banned books. And so I'm reading Mouse.
Yes.
And so I've already finished part 1 and I'm about halfway through part 2 of Mouse. And so it is amazing and depressing and, yeah.
As it would go with that book.
Yeah, as you would expect based on the subject matter.
Yeah.
And it's our January book themes are 1-word titles and banned books. And this happened to be both of them, so it felt very fitting. And it is something that like I have wanted to read for a while after it kind of got put on my radar for so many places banning it. And yeah, so I'm enjoying it in that it's very sad and depressing kind of way, but it's a very well told graphic novel. And then in the world of video games, I took some PTO the past couple days. Whoop, whoop. It's been great. And so I started playing Ghost of Tsushima, finally. And so been enjoying that. And then I've been working my way through Dragon Age The Veilguard. I'm like 50 hours in at this point. I think I'm like 47 and change. And so we're nearing the end of the game. I'm wrapping up some character stuff, and then I think I will be like done with the major side quests. And so I'm think I will be getting the platinum for this game just by virtue of doing the side quests. And so a lot of them it's like finish the plot line for this companion, get a trophy. Finish the plot line for this group, get a trophy. And so I think I will get the platinum just by virtue of doing all of those. Looking through the trophy list, it doesn't seem like there's anything else that's that like complicated to do.
Yeah.
I have to go defeat a bunch of dragons, which I was worried about, but like I've now reached to the level where it's been pretty easy to defeat dragons. And so, and so as long as
you do so many side quests that the main storyline is just so easy, takes you 5 minutes.
I did just get a quest that's like 10 levels below me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, let's go. We're ready to zoom.
Yep.
So it's been a good start. I've been playing some other random stuff, but that's definitely the big things. And yeah, very excited for us to be back. I know we have some tabletop RPG stuff being discussed as well. And so hopefully we'll have some news on those in future episodes. And I should have a Marvel Multiverse update next week. So
yay.
So with that, let's jump into our discussion topics for the week, / news, all of that. Emma, why don't you start us off?
Starting off, I put this here so I wouldn't drag down the what we've been up to section. But as mentioned, there are fires happening in the city that I existed right now. In the show notes and probably in the comments / wherever Cameron puts them.
It is in the description of the YouTube video.
Great. There you go. I have added some links to organizations that you can donate to help. This is the largest fire in the history of LA, and it's destroyed essentially 2 whole small towns within the boundaries of LA City. Destroyed hundreds of thousands of homes and property and things. So there are links to donate if you so wish, no pressure. But I just figured it would be good to mention and bring awareness to this is bigger than the San Francisco fire that happened years ago. It's big. I know people personally who have had their entire homes burned down, and they have small children and have nowhere to go and have the clothes on their backs. So it is devastating. And it's good to donate if you can. So I'm just bringing that to people's attention. It's they're links that I have seen and know are valid links to valid organizations within LA. So
With that too, I also want to call out, I put this in our Discord, Corridor Crew, which is a big YouTube channel, did a video where they basically like went out and like captured footage from like the top of a mountain of the like of what's happened. So also highly recommend going and checking out that video just to kind of see the scope of what's going on. Because I know,
Yep.
again, as someone like me that like I've been to LA, but
Yeah.
like I don't really have a touch point for like distances because didn't have to
Yeah.
live there. So
My place was surrounded on three sides at one point by fires. So there was no way of me going north, so the only way for me to go was south in case of an emergency, which meant that the only direction for anyone to go was south at that point. Which, if anyone knows, LA is a big city and already has bad traffic problems.
mhm.
So if it had gotten worse, everyone would have been trying to go south. And we're just lucky that it didn't get any worse than it did. It could have been, but it didn't. And the Palisades fire was is like an easy 8 miles from where I am, but we were getting smoke, terrible smoke from that. Um, Wednesday morning, I woke up and it was like dark out when it should have been, you know, blue skies. So it's been bad. It is getting better though. So we're grateful to be where we are and that we haven't lost more people in the city and that people from Canada and Mexico and Washington and Oregon have been sending their fire trucks to
Mhm.
help. So, yeah, any help you can give would be great. If you can't give anything, that's fine. Prayers, thoughts, you know, sending. I've had people send Instagram posts to me that are from companies going, "Hey, we want to donate items to displaced families for free to pass along to people." So even if you see something like that, send it my way, and again, I know people who would happily and absolutely need any and all information they can
Mhm.
get. Because again, a good friend of mine, her youngest, she has two kids, and her youngest is one. So like they have no home. They're living with friends right now. So yeah, always vouching for that kind of good stuff. Um, the other thing that I came across recently is that the Welsh National Theatre um, crumped basically, which is not good. But in the aftermath of that crumping, Michael Sheen has stepped in and said, "I am going to use my money to start a Welsh theatre back up." So it fell, and then the beloved Michael Sheen was like, "Not on my watch, it's not." um, and he is starting a new theater company, um, and it's great because his one of his biggest aims with it is to focus on um, storylines and just art from the Welsh culture specifically, um, and like surrounding areas. But that's one of his biggest things is that he wants to really respect and honor that culture of storytelling. And I think it's so great because
Mhm.
it's he's just first of all he's just a delightful actor, and second of all, one of my jokes I've been making with my friends recently is that 99% of my favorite actors are not Americans. They're all either most of them are British,
Yeah.
and
What,
it's
you,
for
the Doctor
things
Who
like
fan?
this. Yes, me? Wow, surprise. Um, and it's because of the things like this where like people like Michael Sheen are great actors. They're brilliant actors, but then they're also like Michael Sheen is also a not-for-profit actor. He donates most of his money to nonprofits and to things like this. And he spends a lot of his time doing things for the public and not in the eye of the public. It's not a publicity stunt. Um, and it's great. Um, and it's really this move came so he was the lead in um, a play called Nye about um, the NHS founder for England, which is the guy who started essentially what's the healthcare act that England
Oh, okay.
has that's like their universal healthcare, that came about
Crazy.
because of this guy, and Michael Sheen played the lead in that, and he was inspired after doing that project to really focus on a lot more of these like works and programs that are focused on improving the well-being of the public as a whole rather than just the interests of a few. And I think that's great.
Yeah. I love
And
that this is someone that is using their wealth like this to preserve art and culture. Like,
yeah,
I,
it's fabulous and I love it.
yeah, I was at an event recently with Deanna and one of my best friends from high school, and we were at the orchestra because they were doing like a Star Wars orchestra, and I made the joke of like, remember when rich people like built like concert halls with their wealth? And
I just made the same joke today to someone.
Our like the Dallas Orchestra is at the Meyerson, like named after a family, and it's like, wow, remember when like the families did this to help preserve art and culture rather than, you know, the other stuff that they're doing? And so
yeah, the comment I made to a friend of mine today was, remember when the rich and noble people would hire hermit artists to live on their property and just make art that they would then put on display? Wouldn't that be great if we existed in a world where that still happened? And I was like, mostly joking, but also a little part of me was also like, I'm like, that would actually be nice if the rich and noble were like, yeah, we want to like provide you with housing and pay you a stipend to like work on your craft that you've clearly studied for years and years and years. Because that's investing back into what keeps culture alive. I'm in the film industry for a reason, and it's things like this. I could talk about this forever. Yeah, I think it's great that he's using his position. Again, I love a lot of non-American people, non-American actors, and it's because they do things like this. And they recognize their position as more than just I played a character in a movie one time or whatever.
Yeah.
And now everyone knows who I am. It's nah. I like the craft. I am here for the craft and the art that uplifts the people and the culture. So yeah.
On my side, of course, we have had the Game Awards. We've had the major, or some of the major games, end of the year awards, and one of the big remaining one is the D.I.C.E Awards. And so, this is the yearly show that is like, it's similar to like in film where there's kind of like the different degrees of like, is it the public that votes? Is there a panel that votes? Like kind of those breakdowns. And the D.I.C.E Awards is voted on by game developers themselves. That's kind of what sets it apart from the other ones. Game developers do the nominations, and game developers then do the voting on what games will actually take home the win. And so This is the 28th annual. And so, and one thing that's always interesting about this is sometimes things that get snubbed at the Game Awards are prevalent at D.I.C.E Awards. And
wow. Imagine that.
Yeah. And so there are, of course, trends where games like Astrobot, Helldivers 2, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle have 6 nominations each. Like, not really any surprises there. Those are all, like, have been big hits. And so I do want to call this out. I wanted to share the date. It's going to be on Thursday, February 13th. And it's going to start at 8 p.m. Pacific. And so I want to encourage people to go watch and check that out. There are a lot of people that complain about the format of the Game Awards and then don't watch D.I.C.E. Like, if you want things to change at one, support this one. And
yeah, give support to the ones that do it right.
Yeah, like if like, again, I like the Game Awards. I enjoy the format. I think it is what it is, and it's fun to watch. But like, if you want like a show that's more by developers, that tends to be like less of a popularity contest to kind of level the like general criticisms from the Game Awards. Like, you should go and
Hmm.
watch and actually support the D.I.C.E Awards, because if you don't, like, they're not like there's not going to be any changes, and so.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want to go and run through every single category because, as you would expect, there are a whole bunch of them. But I
Yep.
do want to kind of call out some of the specific ones that that maybe might have different insight because it is the D.I.C.E Awards. So first off, Outstanding Technical Achievement, and they nominated Astrobot, Batman Arkham Shadow, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Senua's Sacrifice Hellblade 2, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. And then I also wanted to call out Immersive Reality. Oh, not that one. That was not the one. Where is the Outstanding Achievement in Game Design? There we go. That was the one I wanted. Which nominated Animal Well, Astrobot Balatro, Helldivers 2, and UFO 50. Shout out on that list. There are 2 games that were developed by a single person.
Wild.
Yeah, for being
Which 2
Balatro
games were
and
the
Animal Well.
Balatro
So.
and
Yeah, so but they're
Wild?
like other so like other people with Balatro helped with like music and art and stuff, but like
Yeah.
I think for art, but like both of those games were developed by like 1 or 2 people. I'm pretty sure they were both 1, but 2 people does not reduce the achievement there. But like,
Yeah.
shout out to that of being like such big games. And like, Balatro has been getting a lot of love this year, including by me.
Yep. Yep.
But like, it is a fantastic game, and yeah, shout out. It's like the guy, just like, or the person, who's anonymous, and once like no part did not accept
Anonymous. Interesting.
Yeah, so they have a profile and like profile name, but their actual name has not been revealed, like things like that. There was a person that got up to accept the award at the Game Awards and was like, "Hey, as a heads up, I am not this person. I am accepting
Good for
on their
them.
behalf."
Like,
Yeah,
I respect that person so much.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
for you. Like,
But
in
so
in a culture that like puts a spotlight on
yeah,
identity being your big factor of fame or
yeah,
whatever. Good for that person. Just
yeah,
wanting to focus on their craft.
yeah. And part of like the craziest part about Balatro is they designed it to just be something to put in their portfolio. Like, it was basically just like a practice project to show that they could code. And then, sure enough, it is now like one of the best regarded indie games of possibly all time. Like, we'll see how it ages and stuff, but like, potential to be like one of the best indies ever. And so that's super cool. Wanted to shout those out. And then over in Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, you have 2000 Times Resist, Animal Well, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Riven, and Thank Goodness You're Here, which I believe are all smaller games. I don't know necessarily if they're all indie, but shout out to all of them. 1000 Times Resist is on my list I want to get to. I've heard really good things about that one.
I've seen
And then,
videos on Thank Goodness You're Here.
yeah. And that one looks cool. And then Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, I've heard good things. I haven't heard about Riven. That's one that like I had not heard of or seen before this list, but like shout out to those devs. Like, and so yeah, I want to go and check out more of those. And then for Game of the Year, this is kind of the ones that are not surprising for people that have been paying attention to games released in 2024, with Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Helldivers 2, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And so there are, of course, a bunch of other categories, but those are the ones I kind of wanted to shout out.
Riven, I believe this one, don't quote me on this, I'm like 35% sure is a remake of a game that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, this is the game. Okay, it's a sequel to Myst. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I did hear about this. Okay.
Yes. Cause what's her name? Gabby Smulders on YouTube played an early access version of it and was talking about it. This was like months ago at this point. So I don't remember the details, but I think it's a remake or something.
Yes, it is. It is a remake of the game, and so
Great.
and so yeah,
There is my
found my
information
way
on it.
Yes, I found my way to the Wikipedia, and so
that was a very deep, unsecure piece of information I had to pull out from the depths of my brain.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I was right.
Cayenne announced plans to release a remake of Ravenna for the game's 25th anniversary. And so I guess the announcement was October 31st, 2022. Maybe that was the 25th anniversary. But then, yes, then it released on June 25th, 2024. And so,
yeah.
And so, yeah. And then, so that's exciting. Again, go watch the Game Award or go watch D.I.C.E. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'll be able to watch live just because it does start kind of late, as in like after I'm usually in bed. And so we'll kind of just see how that goes. And hopefully I can go and check it out. It's on. I think the night of pre-shows for the new Captain America movie. And so the Thursday night show. So we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely going to try to go watch at least like the VODs and stuff like that afterwards. And so
I
do want to encourage people to check it out. And then our final news topic for this week is it wouldn't be a new year without new rumors of the Nintendo Switch 2. And so there have been rumors, vibes, all this kind of things for about the past like 2.5, 3 years, basically, where it feels like there's always something coming. Over the past couple of weeks, there has been supposedly footage of like not the Nintendo Switch 2, but the unnamed, but the like basically like 3D models of the Switch that are sent to accessory designers so they can build the accessories off of it. And so so again, not the actual Switch out and about, but these, if this is the sources are to be trusted, these are the highly accurate like specs and models for the size and stuff. And there is, as of today, a rumor going around that Nintendo has plans to announce it this week. And that we could be seeing a reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2 on January 16th, which is this Thursday. And so the rumors are that this would be a look at the hardware of the system, not necessarily a look at like what games are going to come for it. And that then end of February and March, we would get a Nintendo Direct that would reveal like launch lineup type stuff for what the Switch 2 would actually like would have when it came out. Although there are rumors that are saying, or tied in with these rumors, is that the Switch 2 could end up launching and being available for sale by May or June of this year, which has been corroborated by sources from VGC, basically saying that they have received that same info. And then we could be getting a new Mario Kart at the launch of it, and then a new 3D Mario this holiday season. And so, it's hard to go anywhere on the internet without hitting Nintendo Switch 2 rumors, but like, there's multiple rumors here that like if this is not true, this is something that a lot of sources seem to have like been under the impression that this was the plan at one point in time.
Yeah.
And so things like that obviously can shift and stuff like that, or get pushed back and all that. But it does seem like, based on what we're getting there, that we could finally be seeing the actual Switch 2. And so
fingers crossed something happens.
Yeah. I know it's kind of felt like Nintendo's been at a weird spot, and like there have been developers that have said that like they're working on stuff that they can't talk about because the sequel to the Switch hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah.
And so that's always a nice thing about once the announcement is official, then people can talk about what they're working on. And so do you have any hopes and or dreams for the Switch 2?
I mean, I've been functioning off a Switch Lite since COVID, so for 5 years now, literally. So I hope it does come out soon, because then I can get a proper Switch to hook up to my TV and play stuff on my TV, because that would be nice to have that option. So that is my biggest wish and hope, because it would be nice to have the option to play things like Stardew Valley on the TV. And while I'm traveling, and have the same save file. Because I do have Stardew Valley on my PlayStation and on my computer and on my Switch and on my phone. I have it on pretty much every system that it exists on. But it's like playing it on the Switch is my main form of playing. So I just hope it comes out soon, because I don't want to buy this Switch 1 proper Switch and then turn around and have Switch 2 come out 3 months later, because that's silly. Like, I might as well just get the newest Switch. So I just hope it comes out soon. It soon being at some point in the next year and a half. So that's my biggest wish and desire for that.
Yeah, for me, honestly, this is less of a specific hardware thing, but more of a game development thing. But like, I want games to run better. Of like I want, like, whatever that needs to mean. Like, Nintendo has never competed on like realistic visuals, while like PlayStation and Xbox have. But like, it boggles my mind how poorly like Pokemon runs on Switch. Of like, I've made the joke a ton of like Pokemon Violet, love the game, put like 200 hours into it. It's a slideshow simulator at points. Like the frame rate is so bad, and whatever needs to happen, I don't know how game development works, so that the games can just run better, smoother, those types of things. Like, that's my big ask. We have, I believe, the confirmation that Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. I think that has been confirmed by Nintendo.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. And with that, like, my biggest thing is I want these games to run better, because I don't want to like, and the process of transferring saves is easy between Switch to Switch 2, because like, I would love to start Pokemon Legends ZA when it releases, presuming that that's before Switch 2. I would love to start it, and then whenever I get a Switch 2, I doubt it will be at launch, but like, whenever I do that, I would like to port it over and have a better play experience of this game. Just because I have now like moved on to the newer hardware. And so that's really my hope. From a games perspective, give me a new Fire Emblem. Let's go. Like, that's always going to be my request. Of like, I want to see what they can do with more hardware, more space. Like, what does the higher, more intense version of the game look like? I love Fire Emblem so much, and so that's my biggest ask there. And then, again, this has nothing to do with the hardware, but Nintendo sure has made choices. Why is there no voice acting in the games? Like,
We want more of that.
yeah, like as a broad statement for Nintendo, like, can we get more voice acting? Like, of course, that's not like, again, has nothing to do with the Switch hardware. But if we're talking about hopes and dreams for Switch 2, like the amount of like really cool games that really should be voice acted, but for some reason, none of the main characters are. Like,
yeah,
I don't I don't understand why Pokemon is not voice acted. Like, stuff like that.
Yeah, at this point.
So I definitely want to see more of that coming from Nintendo and like Pokemon Company, which, like, you know, isn't Nintendo, but like is obviously tied in with all of that as well. And so I want to see them like invest more in that side of their games. We'll see what that looks like, but that's going to wrap up our news topics for this week. Listeners, watchers, whenever you're watching, let us know what you think. If you have any stories about the LA wildfires, let us know in the comments. Let us know what your game of the year is. Are you excited to watch D.I.C.E? And then what are your hopes and dreams for that Nintendo Switch 2? As our one piece of housekeeping before we go to post-show chat, we did not do a book club in December just because of holiday stuff. Obviously, it's a challenge at that time of year, so we skipped it. But we will be back with book club. We are targeting January 27th as our book club date for this year, for this month. And so that's 2 Mondays.
Man, we're just having one book club this year, guys. That's our only
it's gonna be
goal.
The single best book club, and then we're done. Cannot be topped.
Yep.
Best in class.
We're going for a one-hit wonder with this one, you guys.
Yes. And I am proud to report I have already finished the book for book club, and so we are going to be reading A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I actually read this end of last year because it had been suggested for one of our instead of our November book being Bell's Hells. This is one of the other books that had been suggested, and I just read it on my own. And so
there you go,
it's a very fun read. I'm very excited for our conversations about it. I will say, I made this disclaimer when I talked about this book for my year-end recap. Go take a look at the trigger warning, content warning.
Yeah, the warnings. It's good to look at the content warnings.
Yes. And so there's nothing like super bad, but there are things that like I would definitely want people to be aware of before they go into that book.
Better safe than sorry.
So I will make that call out. Yes. And so I'm excited for our conversation. Have you had a chance to take a look at it yet? As you've discussed, you've been all over the place. But
I have been all over the place, and I literally just ordered my copy yesterday. Like, yesterday or the day before. So it's coming.
Yeah,
but
nice.
I will get started on it as soon as it gets here, basically.
Yep. And I, of course, did do the audiobook, but I feel like it's a pretty quick read. Like, I don't actually know how many pages it is, but let me see. But yeah, very enjoyable book, very good recommendation, and so I'm definitely excited for us to chat about it. Apparently it's 400 pages for the hardcover, so
that's not too bad.
But yeah. January 27th, of course, stay tuned, social media, Discord, all of that, if that ends up getting delayed, as can happen, of course, since we do this for funds.
Yep.
But with all of that, you can find out and hang out with us, find out the news and hang out with us over on social media and, of course, in our Discord. You can watch on Twitch and YouTube. Check out the Redbubble store. And then you can also find us on our personal social media, minus Humar Whittle.
Mine is I'm Not Prepared with an I in the prepared on all platforms.
And it's been a great week.
Stay alive, be safe with fire.
I'll take Sheen's and say read a book.